Mrs. Willow lived alone. Her house stood, a looming presence on Mulberry Lane, a Victorian mansion, beautiful once, now shrouded in age and neglect. The house creaked and groaned, a symphony of time and decay. Dust motes danced in the pale sunlight that filtered through dusty windows. Mrs. Willow, a woman etched with the passage of time, moved slowly through the darkened rooms. Her footsteps were soft, hesitant, like a bird hopping between shadows. Her heart, however, was no longer her own. It belonged to the house, beating in time with the creaking floorboards and the whispering wind. There was one place Mrs. Willow avoided. The attic. It was a place of shadows and whispers. Sounds of movement skittered just beyond sight. The air always felt heavy there, thick with forgotten memories. One night, a storm raged outside. Rain lashed the windows, wind howled, a mournful cry through the eaves. A sudden crash echoed from above. Mrs. Willow jumped, her heart pounding in her chest. The attic door, long closed, now stood ajar. A cold draught snaked down the staircase, carrying with it the faintest of whispers. The whispers seemed to beckon, to call her name. Fear warred with curiosity. She had avoided that place for so long, yet something about this night, about the storm's fury and the open door, drew her in. She picked up a flickering candle, its flame dancing in the draught. Each step up the dilapidated staircase felt heavy, laden with a growing sense of dread. The whispers grew louder. They swirled around her, whispering secrets in a language she couldn't understand. They seemed to emanate from the back of the attic, from the deepest shadows. Reaching the top of the stairs, she hesitated. Her hand trembled as she pushed the attic door fully open. Dust motes danced in the single ray of light cast by her candle. The air was thick with the scent of decay, of time past and forgotten. And then she saw it. In the far corner, bathed in a sliver of moonlight that pierced the grimy window, sat a small table. On the table, covered in a thick layer of dust, rested an antique music box. As she approached, she realized the whispers had stopped. The attic was silent except for the pounding of her own heart. She reached out, her fingers tracing the intricate carvings on the music box's surface. Hesitantly, she opened it. A soft melody, bittersweet and nostalgic, filled the air. It was the music, she realized, that she had heard all along. The music box's song, distorted by time and the attic's acoustics, had become the whispering that haunted her dreams. As the melody washed over her, Mrs. Willow felt a strange sense of peace settle over her. The attic, no longer a place of fear, felt strangely comforting. It was a repository of memories, of a life lived and loved. From that day forward, Mrs. Willow visited the attic often. She would sit in a creaky rocking chair, bathed in the soft sunlight that streamed through the newly cleaned window, and wind the music box. And as the melody filled the air, she would close her eyes and listen, no longer to whispers of fear, but to the sweet, haunting song of the past. The house, no longer a source of terror, became her sanctuary, filled with the comforting echoes of a life well lived.